Hello, welcome back to All Things Gumball. You know, I haven't made a video in a long time, and I'm really, I feel like I'm letting you guys down, and I'm not trying to avoid. I'm not wanting to avoid. How do I say this? I want to make videos, and I want to encourage you guys. I want to help you guys with your vending business, whether it is honor boxes or gumball machines, little one-headed gumball machines, or three-headed, or 2 or 5 or 8. Or I don't know if you guys have the snack machines or Coke machines, but I want to be an encouragement to you guys, okay? And the quicker you get into this business, I think you're going to really enjoy it. Don't hesitate. Just look for some sales, either on Craigslist or go to Facebook Marketplace, which I've been finding a lot of things for sale on Facebook Marketplace. Believe it or not, people are selling things at very low prices. I wanted to up my video production a little bit, and I've said in other videos that I like the video production process. I really do. I like making videos. I've got 2 other channels on YouTube. One's a cooking channel. I used to put my cooking videos on this page, this YouTube page, but people were complaining, so I made another video channel. That channel is called Toast, and I think I've got 6 videos on that channel. I'll put a link in the description below. I just want to encourage you guys. This is a wonderful, wonderful business to be in. You can make a lot of money, and the best thing about it is you can become your own boss. If you have 100 gumball machines working, 100 vending machines, like gumball style vending machines, you can actually be your own boss. Over 100, I would say. If you have 100 or more, start thinking about finding ways to quit your full-time job. So anyway, I do want to make more videos. Be patient with me. I've been under the weather for 2 weeks. I don't know what it is. Something is really kicking my rear end, and I don't know what it is. I've had very little energy. I think it's just because for the last year I've just been going and going and going, and maybe it's just my body's way of telling me to rest, take a break. You know, there's only so much you can do. I used to run sprints in high school. I used to run track, and quite honestly, I hated it. I really hated it. I might be better off running a marathon because you can pace yourself. Like people run, people go out for football. We went out for track, and I don't know why we were thinking that track would be a good choice. I'm not a very fast person, and running sprints, I just hate. We would run a quarter mile, half mile, long jump, things like that, and just practicing for the track meets were horrible. We would, I grew up in Wisconsin, so we'd actually start in the springtime. And the winters up there were long and brutal, and I just remember running in the frigid cold and the freezing cold. Just my lungs would freeze to death, and I really hated it. But when I start something, I really don't want to quit until I feel like I've accomplished something. So I just kept pushing myself to be, the best person I could in track. And I think that if you do exercise, you feel like there's a limit to how much you can do, how much work, how much stamina you have. And I feel like that's the same thing with your everyday life. Don't push yourself to the point where you're just so exhausted that you don't have any energy to do anything else, okay? So I guess my tip of the day is just, take time out to relax. Take time out to just spend time with friends and enjoy a good meal at a restaurant or go see some movies. But take time to relax. Just take time to rest, okay? So, videos are coming. Go to my YouTube channel called Toast. Subscribe to that, and you'll see some cooking videos. If you love food, I mean, who doesn't love food? When I was young, I'll tell you what my parents did when I was a kid. Now, I grew up with 3 brothers and 3 sisters. And when there were 5 kids in the family, my mom and dad did something that I thought was really cool. They put 5 days in a hat. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They put those days on 5 slips of paper. You know, one slip had Monday, so on and so forth. And they put those names in a hat, and they asked the 5 kids, because at the time there were only 5. This is before my brother and sister were born. My little brother and my little sister were born. And whatever day you picked was the day that you got to spend with mom and dad after everyone went to bed. And the day I picked was Thursday. I don't know why I remember that, but I do remember that. I don't remember dates very well, but that date I do remember. It was a Thursday, and I guess because it was such a cool thing to get to spend an extra couple of hours with mom and dad while everyone's in bed, and you kind of felt like you're getting away with something, but then you knew that everyone else got a day, so it was kind of a special thing. It was really enjoyable. And the first thing I do remember that, you know, my mom or my dad asked me, what do you want to do? You got a couple of hours, and tell me what you want to do. And so I said, I want to make cookies. I want to learn how to make chocolate chip cookies. So that's what we did. We spent an hour or two working on something like that, or working on that. And I really enjoyed that process. I learned how to make something that's enjoyable to eat. I got to spend time with my mom and dad, and that meant a lot to me. Okay, it was a very small thing for them to do, but to me as a little child, I was probably 7. To me as a child, it was something very big and very positive, and it really left a lasting impact. So I've really kind of enjoyed cooking throughout the years, and the second thing that happened with me when I was in an art class in high school. The biggest bully in the high school, I mean, I'm talking big, he was huge. He was a massively overweight man or boy, young man, and he was like the biggest bully in the school. He was a bully, and he was the loudest bully, the biggest bully. Everyone steered away from him. And in the art class that I was in, he sat next to me, and I found out he was really kind of a nice guy, but you kind of still would treat him like a rattlesnake or something, with a lot of respect. And I remember, I think I was in my freshman year. I think he was a sophomore at the time. He was a year older than me. And I tried to not really engage him in conversation because I never knew what to expect. He was really just an unpredictable, violent kind of guy. But I sat next to him in art class, and one day he said to me, "Hey, Neil," and I looked over at him and I said, "What?" He said, "Have you taken cooking class?" And for one, I thought, even if I was taking it, I would never admit it to this guy because I thought for sure he'd make fun of me. And I wasn't taking the cooking class at all. And I looked at him very nervously and I said, "No, why do you ask?" And he said, "You ought to take it." And I thought, this is a setup for a punch in the face or something. And I was curious. I said, "Why would I want to take a cooking class?" And he said, "There's 2 reasons to take cooking." And I said, "Okay, what are those 2 reasons?" And he said, "Well, one, there's a lot of girls in the class," which was true. I think about 80% of the people in the class were girls. And then he said, "And you get to eat." Well, those were 2 of the best reasons to take a class. So I took cooking classes. I think I took 2 years of cooking, and I loved it. They only offered 2 years. They only offered 4 semesters of cooking. I loved it, got to eat. And in fact, one of my classes was right before lunch. So sometimes we'd eat and then go eat lunch. So as a young teenage man or young man, who wouldn't turn down 2 meals, So I love cooking, and I teach my daughters to cook all the time. And I always tell them, if you learn how to cook, you will never eat a bad meal unless you want to. What do I mean by that? Well, if you learn how to cook and you're hungry, you just go and buy the ingredients and you make the food that you want to eat, something really delicious. But you don't have to. You could go to McDonald's and get a crappy meal. So if you learn how to cook, you won't ever have to eat a crappy meal unless you want to. In other words, unless you don't want to cook anything. All right, guys, sorry about the delays on these videos. I'm gonna try to push myself to make a little bit, make them more often. I'm trying, trust me. I've got a lot of things on my plate. And let me catch you on another video, or you'll catch me on another video. Have a good evening, have a good morning, or have a good afternoon.